Today, our winter officer retreats theme is impact, and that is an acronym IMPACT. The I is for integrity, the M is for mission, the P is for perseverance, the A is for attitude, the C is for character, the T is for teamwork. So today we want to focus on what does impact look like in your respective roles. And we want you all to know that no matter what your role is, you contribute to the overall progress and success of your chapter's operations. So this time is dedicated to design processes and procedures for you. It's an opportunity for connection and providing mutual support as we gear up for the challenges and the triumphs of this coming year. So we encourage active participation from everyone. So don't hesitate to ask any questions and share your unique wisdom during these morning discussions and conversations. So as we embark on this enriching journey together, our first highlight of the day is the inspiring keynote from a great friend of mine, the dynamic Mr. Kaylin Blake. So without further ado, we're going to kick off this morning session with a dynamic keynote by Kaylin Blake. Kaylin Blake is a dynamic and personable speaker, presenter, and facilitator who entered the public speaking scene in 2009. With a passion for entertaining, educating, and empowering diverse audiences, Kaylin has dedicated years to making a positive impact. Currently, he serves as the Vice President of Programs for New Memphis, overseeing leadership development and professional growth initiatives. His previous role as the Director of Student Leadership and Involvement at the University of Memphis showcased his commitment to student activities and leadership development. Kaylin, a graduate of the University of Central Arkansas, y'all, he would kill me if I said anything other than that. A graduate of the University of Central Arkansas, he holds degrees in broadcast journalism and a Master of Science degree in college student personnel. Recognized for his achievements, he was honored in 2023 Memphis Business Journal's 40 Under 40 class and Cynthia Daniels' Top 40 Under 40 Urban Elite Professionals. As a professional speaker with Campus Speak Agency, Kaylin addresses topics such as leadership development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, delivering motivational pep talk speeches and what have you across this entire country. So I need all of my PSC family to give a warm welcome to my dear friend and my brother, Mr. Kaylin Blake.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. First and foremost, Robert, thank you so much for the introduction. You could have gave them the Cliff Note version of that, but it's all right. And so to all of my PSC leaders, good morning and Happy New Year. I am so excited to be here with y'all today. I've got a little bit of time, and there are a couple things that I certainly want to talk about. But because I'm limited on my time, I want to kind of dive right into it. And so before I get started, I'm gonna give y'all three quick disclaimers. Number one, I'm from the South. I'm a country boy. So y'all gonna hear me say y'all and all the things and just ride with me. The second thing is the season changing is messing with me. So, if you see me look off or do something weird, it's just allergies. No COVID, I've taken 2 tests. And then the third thing is I invite you to just go on this leadership journey with me, with us, and let's go ahead and get it started.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, Are we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My parts broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were two paths? I want to be the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing unless you dream stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything, I'm just a kid. But I do know this. It's everybody's duty to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You've just been pep talked. Create something that will make the world awesome.
This is certainly one of my favorite videos. It's an older video, but I love to start with this video because there were so many nuggets in here that I think relate directly to leadership, directly to teamwork. And you know, one of the main questions that he asked in this movie, right, in this show was, what will be your Space Jam moment this year? And as we go through this presentation, as you go through today, I want you to think about your Space Jam moment in leadership. What is going to be your defining moment? What is going to be the thing that you are remembered for? What is going to be the legacy that you leave behind whenever you transition from your role, whenever you move on to your next big thing? But what's going to be the thing that you are remembered by here, right? And I heard him say in this video, it's everybody's responsibility to give the world a reason to dance. And it is truly my hope this year that as you engage in this new journey of leadership, that you think about ways that you can get your organization, your chapter, and your campus community dancing this year through leadership and all the things that you are going to do. So with that, I shared this leadership quote that I saw a while back in every presentation that I do, and it's really the framework for what we're going to do today. And this quote from Robin Sharma says that leadership has so little to do with formal power, but to lead is to do poetic work, to inspire those around you to be graceful when you are hurt, and to be the most decent person that you know. Again, leadership has little to do with your title, with your position, with all of those formal things, right? To lead is to do magical, poetic work, to inspire the people around you to be graceful when you're hurt, and to be the most decent person that you know. Leadership is about being the decent people, right? Leadership is about doing the most good. And that is really what we're going to talk about and dive into today. I am so excited to be with y'all. Y'all are my first presentation for 2024. I get the opportunity to travel the world to different campuses, communities, virtually on the screen, wherever, and talk about this concept of leadership that is so very important. So I'm excited to be here, but I certainly want to say to each one of you new leaders, thank you for leading, thank you for serving, and thank you for being here. There are so many times we know that people don't hold up their end of the bargain and do what they are supposed to do. But you being on this call today really shows your investment in the new journey that you are about to take. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for leading. Thank you for serving and all the things. And the reality is that I've got about 40 minutes to talk about this conversation in leadership. And there are going to be some things that you absolutely love that I say. There are going to be some things that you have heard before and you're like, hey, retweet Kaylin, yeah, I love that. There even may be some things that you disagree with, but over the next couple of minutes, whatever you feeling, I want you to just laugh and smile anyway, like it's the best thing you have ever heard in your life, right? And so before I do that, I always like to just kind of give a couple of tips about me. Robert gave a great introduction, but there's also one other thing that I love to share. Of course, I'm originally from Arkansas. I live in Memphis, Tennessee right now. And in my role every single day at New Memphis, I get to be the leadership guy, right? People come to me with their challenges, with their problems, with their ideas. And my goal is to bring that to life. And that's what leadership is about. It's about empowering people to be their best selves, to show up the best way that they can, and ultimately to do good work in what they're doing. So I'm not one of those presenters that is like, hey, put your phones down, all eyes on me. I believe that there are some things that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of minutes that you want to share out, right? So take a picture of your screen, post something. If you feel something, post something. And I even posted my social media handles at the bottom, so feel free to tag me in it. Follow all the things I do, follow back. So on the right-hand side, of course, y'all are college audience. And so as I was thinking about this frame, right, I was thinking about what I would say. And the first thing that came to mind is I thought about my undergraduate leadership experiences. As Robert mentioned, I was at the University of Central Arkansas, and I wasn't just a student, but I was an active student, right? And so I was the president of our Black Student Association. I was a Student Government Association senator. I served as an orientation leader for my team. I was a minority mentorship leader, and I was one of the worst resident assistants that you have ever heard in life. I thought it would be a really great idea, but it was just not my jam. So shout out to all the RAs that are doing really good work. But I'm also a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And I share those with you because there's one thing that I have found to be common in each one of these organizations that I was a part of, right? All great organizations, all with a different mission, all with a different goal. But one thing that I know to be true in every team, every group, and every organization is that working with people is hard as heck, right? It is one of the most challenging and difficult things that you can do. And everybody comes with, whenever we get started, we come with these grandiose ideas and we think everybody is with us, but sometimes it just gets a little bit challenging. And so over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to do three things. Number one, it's identify some core leadership and characteristics and skills that can help strengthen your organization. I want to equip you with a few leadership skills to add to your tool belt and give you a few strategies to maximize the performance of your team members, the people you're in an organization with, and then ultimately inspire you to just leave your legacy on your campus community through the organization that you are representing today. And so I want to dive right into the 5 dimensions of leadership, and that's going to frame this conversation, right? The first dimension that we're going to focus on is what I call identity. And just stick with me, I'm going somewhere. But there's something that happens whenever you first step into a new organization, whenever you step into your new role at PSC as a leader, right? Y'all, we are excited. We are on cloud 9. We're excited to advance the mission of the organization, right? Everybody is motivated. It's a brand new year, new energy, new year, new me, right? But something that I've learned is after the first couple of weeks in your role, after the first couple of weeks in your organization, things tend to change a little bit. And we're not quite as excited as we used to be, right? And the question becomes why? Why is it that we start off on this high, but we ultimately sometimes end on a low? And as we're going through this journey, it becomes a little bit challenging. As I thought about my own personal leadership responsibilities and organizations that I've represented, I thought about those people. And what I know is that there are different personality types that exist in every organization. And we're going to simply work through those right now. I want to start with the first one, right? The first personality type that exists in every organization is the golden child. This is the person that's excited to advance the mission and the goals of the group. They go above and beyond the call of duty. They got a positive attitude. They follow all the policies and procedures. They motivate other team members. They help other folks out, and they show up to everything. I'm talking about the golden child is the one that, like, as soon as they send out the winter officer transition retreat link, they were the first one to register, and they're like the first one on the Zoom today, ready to go, right? The Steve Urkel of leadership and of PSC is the golden child. So the first one is the golden child, and the second one is what I call the problem child, right? And just stick with me, I'm coming to your row. The problem child is the one that you never know what they're gonna do. They might show up to the meeting, they might not. This is the person that's known to mess stuff up. They're always kind of playing our tasks. They keep up a little bit of drama. If you say left, they say right, and they do show a lot of commitment to the cause. But sometimes they can just be a little problematic. This is a person in the group me that always has a difference of opinion. This is the person that always wants to do things their kind of way, and a few other things, right? So you got the golden child, you've got the problem child, and the third one is a favorite, right? It's the know-it-all child, the know-it-all child. I told you to stick with me. So the know-it-all child is the one that they try to tell you what to do and how to do it. This is usually the teacher's pet. If you go and do something wrong, they're not only gonna tell you, but they're gonna tell it on you, right? This is a person that's very critical of other people. They only help out if they think so that they can get some clout out of this thing. And they're typically a good person. They just get on everybody else's damn nerve, right? And so when we think about this person, they are a good team member, they're a part of it, but again, they've been in the organization for a little while, they know how we do things, or they know how it should be done, and they wanna make sure that it goes like that. So you've got the golden child, you got the problem child, you got the know-it-all child, and you got the bad attitude child, right? This is the person that everyone in the organization is walking on eggshells around. The bad attitude child is the one that does the absolute bare minimum. They never in dress code. This is the person that disagrees with everybody on everything. And even though there are policies and procedures in place, this is the person that's the negative Nick or the negative Nancy of the group, right? They ain't volunteering for a whole lot more outside of what their responsibilities are. And this person just brings a negative kind of energy and aura about themselves. And last but not least, we got the I don't really give a damn child, right? Yeah. This is the person they ain't mad to be here, they ain't happy to be here, but they showed up. This is a person that does what's expected, but don't ask for a lot more. A lot of their responses are whatever, it really doesn't matter, right? They just in the room. And this person also is they on the team, but they're not with a lot of the warm and the fuzzies. When I say warm and fuzzies, what do I mean, right? This is the person that they will they will eat some of the birthday cake and they will sign the birthday card, but don't ask them to go get it, right? This person is not the leader of the group and they will go if you ask, but don't ask them to do a whole lot more out of what their responsibilities are, right? And so these are the 5 personality types that exist in every organization, I believe. And the question becomes, when you think about your leadership and how you've been showing up or how you're currently showing up, who are you, right? And there's this rhetorical question that we ask ourselves on which one of these personality types, if you had to identify yourself, who are you? But then there's another question also of who do people say you are? When you take an inventory of your skill set, of your attitude, of your morale that you're bringing to this organization, on January the 13th, how are you showing up? What disposition are you bringing to your work, to the organization, and to all the things that we are talking about? I'm a firm believer that we are 100% responsible for the energy that we bring into the room 100% of the time. And it doesn't matter what's going on around us, right? It's our responsibility to make sure that the people that we are leading, the people we are serving, the people we are on the team with feel that positive energy. And that is important because what we know is that energy, attitude, morale, all of that is contagious. And so if you really want to be a great leader, one of the best things you can do is do an attitude check. Earlier this week, I was talking to my mom and we were just talking about some work things. And one of the things that she said that stuck out to me the most this week was that a lot of times our attitude determines our altitude. And what we're saying by that is that your attitude determines the great things that you can do. Your attitude determines how far you can go within this organization, even stepping up the ladder in other groups and teams that you represent. So make sure whenever you start your new journey, whenever you go into meetings, that you are bringing that positive attitude because other people are looking at you specifically as a leader. And leaders bring that positive attitude and disposition everywhere we go, right? So the first dimension is identity, and I want to dive to the second dimension, right? And it's simply values. And I want to start with a quick story. I don't know about y'all, but where I'm from, we got a little Wingstop in the city. And Wingstop is one of my favorite places to eat. And it's not because their wings are just amazing, right? But I'm a firm believer that Wingstop has some of the best ranch that exists in the world. Their ranch is amazing to me, right? And so one day I was at work, I was having a rough day, and I was like, I just need some comfort food today, so I'm going to my favorite spot. So I called Wingstop, I placed my order. I got there and I get the same thing every time. I need 10 Cajun wings. I like them well done and make sure my ranch is on the side. So I called in my order. I went across town, got the order. And as I was checking out, I asked the cashier, I said, hey, did you put my ranch in the bag? And he was like, yeah, man, I got you. Have a great day. So I get all the way across town, back to my house, open the bag, and y'all know what happened? There was no ranch in the bag. And when I tell y'all, I was like feeling away, I was upset, right? And so like any reasonable, prudent person, I had to call back and give them a piece of my mind and tell them they forgot my ranch because it had been a bad day. And so as I was talking to him, you know, I'm saying, hey, I called up there, I told you I needed my wrench. And he's like, hey, bro, you want to come back and get you a wrench? And I'm like, I ain't driving across town. But as I was thinking about that experience, as I was reflecting on this Wingstop story and situation, I also thought a little bit about leadership. And I thought about how so often in leadership, in organizations, we say that we got certain things on the menu, right? A lot of times when I work with leadership groups, they talk a lot about brotherhood and sisterhood and friendship and leadership and scholarship and academic excellence and all of these great characteristics. And so it draws people to their organization. But a lot of times when people join the group, when they go to their first chapter meeting and dive into what's happening, the thing that they are selling, folks, is no longer on the menu. So all of those positive characteristics that we identify whenever we talk about PSC, those things that we put on the website, that when we're recruiting, we say all of these great things, but when people get to us, they can't seem to find those good things, right? And so really quick, what I want you to do, I told you I wanted to utilize the chat feature and technology today. So I want you to think about your specific ranch. And you can think about this in 3 different ways. Number one, your ranch can be your individual characteristic that you're like, hey, this is Kaylin's superpower, and this is the thing that I'm really great at or amazing at. That can be your ranch, or you can look at it from an organizational perspective, right? The mission and the values of PSC. What are the things that are really important to you? Or you can think about it from a chapter perspective, right? What is the thing that your campus community looks forward to that you do and that you host? And I want you to just take a second to think about your personal ranch in one of those 3 areas. And I want you to just post it in the chat. And so me and a couple of my PSC administrative friends are going to look at the chat to see what's there. So let's see here. I want to know what your ranch is. Post it in the chat for me. What is your superpower? What is the thing that you bring to this organization, to this experience, right? Blake, I see you. Communication. Joan, I see you as well. Community, family, I love that. I'm looking for a few others.
Ooh,
Jack,
good
I see
listener.
visibility. Lifelong connections, friendship, accountability, inclusivity, kindness. I see you, Anthony. Thank you.
Consistency. Love that.
Consistent, yeah. Community, transparency, connectedness, teamwork. I love that. Yeah.
Ooh, experiences. I like that.
Carter, I see strategy. I love that. Sam, openness, empathy. Megan, really great words, guys. And I'm still scrolling through. I'll give a few more minutes for people to post. Connections and friendship. Excellent. Vulnerability. That's huge in leadership. Empathy. Coachability. Devin, that's good. I know a few of y'all are still posting, thinking about that and posting in there, right? And I think those things are really huge. When we think about the core characteristics of leadership, it's so important that we remember that the thing that you just posted in the chat that you're thinking about, or the thing that you're still kind of processing, right, your superpower, y'all, we got to make sure when we think about values that we keep those things on the menu. If we say that our ranch is communication, right, we want to make sure that we are being the best communicators within our organizations, finding ways to strengthen that communication. Another word that I saw in the chat consistently was community, right? We want to make sure that as people integrate into our organizations, as people are working with our groups, with our chapters, and with our teams, right, that sense of community and family is still integrated into who we are and what we do. And y'all, there are so many different ways that we bring that. But as we think about our values, in the closing part, I'm going to share a couple other tips for y'all. But we got to make sure that our values, the things that are on our websites, the things that we brag about as who we are, that those things are represented front and center. And it's not just enough to talk about those things today, whenever we are doing the Winter Officer Transition Retreat, but you got to make sure that we're talking about our mission, we're talking about our values, we're talking about the things that are important to our core every single meeting, every single time. And that doesn't mean that you got to do a 30-minute workshop, but it means when you start your meeting, right? Where and how do you remind people about our charge, about our mission, and about our goals and the things that we are supposed to be doing every single day? And so we talked a little bit about identity. We talked a little bit about values. The next thing that I want to just kind of mention that's really important, this is the third dimension of leadership, is integrity, y'all. And I see so many definitions of integrity, but one of my favorite ones says that integrity is keeping the commitments and the promises you made, even when the situation and circumstances you made them under have changed. And when I tell y'all, every time I read it, I kind of get the feels a little bit, because this concept is so important, right? Understanding that when y'all start this journey, y'all are good. I was looking in the chat and everybody's like posting where they're from, and there was positive energy, right? And we got to know that as you go throughout this journey, y'all, there are going to be some tough days. There are going to be some tough people. There are going to be some tough experiences. And no matter what is going on around you, the thing that we commit to today, the thing that we are talking about is our ranch, right? Those are the things that we got to make sure that we stick to. You know, when I think about this, I think about an experience that I had recently. I was the keynote speaker for an organization. And when I tell y'all I did not feel well, not only was I just physically under the weather, but I also just wasn't in a great headspace. And I was thinking about, I was like, I can't make this. I don't want to do this. I'm just going to call and tell them no. But the reality is that I remembered that this statement, right? And I know that people are counting on me. People are looking forward to me being there. And I had to fight through everything that was going on in my mind. I had to fight through the physical illness that I was working through to make sure that I showed up and did exactly what I said I was going to do. After you get done with me, you're going to go out into some breakouts and you're going to talk about some very PSC specific things, right? And they're going to give you some resources. But those commitments that we make, we got to make sure that we keep those things, that we honor our word and do what we said we're going to do, right? Also, whenever I think about integrity, there are a couple things that come to my mind immediately. The first one is simply being present, y'all. And sometimes whenever we are a leader, we got to make sure that we show up, right? Every time, whether it's a meeting, whether it's an event, it's a training or a workshop, when you are in a leadership role, you set the tone and you set the example. And so you got to make sure that you're physically present, but you also got to make sure that you're mentally there and that you are engaged in the conversations. It's so important that you think about strategy, that you think about ways that you're going to accomplish your goals and all of those pieces. And being present in the moment, being able to engage with individuals is one of the best ways that you display a high leadership IQ. The second piece is character. And I worked on a college campus for many years. And one of the things that I used to hate that I had to do was I had to talk to students often about things that they were posting, things that they were doing, and how they were representing the organization as a leader. And I don't know if you know, but when you decided that you wanted to step into an officer role and that you wanted to be a leader in your chapter, in your organization, or on your campus community, right? There's a different level of expectation that surrounds you. There's a different level of morale that is looming around you and what you do. And one of the things that I want to mention to y'all is that your character is who you say you are, but it's also the things that you do. I'm a firm believer that everything you do either erases or underlines what you say. And so who you say you are, you got to make sure that your actions align with that. Make sure the things that you are posting, even if it's on your close friends, that's a whole nother presentation for another day, right? That those things represent the values of who you are, but also the values of this organization. Because when you stepped into this leadership role, you agreed to be a part of something larger than yourself. The third characteristic of integrity that I wanted to mention and just kind of highlight is just this responsibility. The word responsibility is so important because there are going to be some things that is expected of you as a leader, right? That you've got to do for your chapter, for your campus community to be a registered student organization, and for the national organization. And you got to make sure that you do it, that you are accountable to yourself, that you are accountable to all the people around you, the team that you are building, and all of those pieces. Responsibility is simply doing what it is that you say you are going to do when you say you're going to do it. And I know I've met with some of your leaders, and they tell me about the great things that are happening. But you got to make sure that you hold each other accountable to do the things that you say you're going to do. Another huge piece about integrity, y'all, is just simply teamwork. And it is building the people that are around you. It's making sure that you've got the right people in the right places at the right time, working on the right thing. We call that positive synergy. And you got to make sure as a leader that you display teamwork, right? Sometimes teamwork is delegating to other people. Sometimes teamwork is showing up for people when they need some help. Sometimes teamwork is making sure that you see when someone is struggling and you can kind of help lighten the load for them. And ultimately making sure that we are all marching to the same beat and marching in the same direction. Integrity is huge related to teamwork. And the last piece that I want to mention about integrity, y'all, is just the spirit of servitude. John C. Maxwell said leadership must be for the benefit of the followers and not to enrich the leader. And y'all, it's great to put these things on our resume and to say that we are the vice president and the president and doing all of these good things. But if you are truly not interested in making a difference and having an impact on people, then you're in the wrong spot. And I'm going to take a personal privilege. I know some of your leaders, I've talked to them, and what we know is that if you are not in this to make a difference, if you are not in this to have an impact on folks, then you're in the wrong position and you probably should have a conversation with somebody. The fourth dimension that I want to mention and kind of highlight is just simply relationships. And I want y'all to just kind of do a quick experiment with me. You see an image on the screen, and right now, I want you to count the amount of F's that you see, and you've got about 15 seconds to do so. Count the amount of F's that you see, and then post it in the chat, right? All right. If I told you I would give you 15 seconds, and I want to go to the chat and see how many F's we saw. So, I see a lot of numbers. Parker, 6. Ron saw 4. Tyler, 7. Yep. Renasia, I see 9. Allie, 8. Okay, all right. So the magic number when we think about this image, and get back to it, is magic number is 9. And I know some people are like, wait, 9, where did you see 9? I want to go back to it and highlight the F's that you see, right? So you can take a second to look at it. I highlighted the amount of F's that it is, and the number is 9. So really quick, what I want to do is I want to just I wanted to say, you see oftentimes people miss the 2 F's in 50, but also you see that people miss the F's in of. I think a little bit it's just kind of the English language vernacular. I think because it sounds like a V, some people miss it. But the reality, y'all, is that a lot of times when we think about relationships, there's some people in our organizations that feel like those F's. There are some people that don't feel valued. There are some people that don't feel like they are part of our organizations. And we as leaders have to make sure that every single person in our group, in our organization, in our team feels valued, that they feel like they are a part, that their ideas, that their innovations can be infused into the work that is happening. Theodore Roosevelt said that people won't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And as a leader, y'all, I can't stress to you how important it is to build healthy relationships with the people that you're leading with your headquarters staff, with your board of directors, and everybody that you get the opportunity to come in contact with. A couple of years ago, I was working at Central Arkansas, and I had a student to come in my office, and they were just having, the student hadn't been performing well as a leader, like they had dropped the ball on a couple of things. And I thought that they were off a little bit, so I called him in and I'm like, hey man, we've missed a whole lot of pieces. What is happening? What is going on? And he told me in that moment that he had found out recently that his mom had cancer. And it was in that moment that I was like, I'm so glad that I just did a check-in so I know what's happening. And one of the things that I want to reiterate to y'all and just kind of make sure that you understand is that life is happening to every single person around us. And life is happening hard. We don't know what we're dealing with, what people are dealing with, but also we know that mental health challenges are higher. The number of mental health issues are higher than they've ever been. And so we got to check in with each other, y'all. We got to make sure that people are okay, that people are doing well, and that we are paying attention to people. I truly believe that sometimes if something feels off with people, it probably is off. And maybe it's they didn't get a grade that they wanted on a test. Maybe they're dealing with something in their personal life. And sometimes people are just having a bad day. But when you take the opportunity to invest in people on who they are as a person before leadership, before organizational needs, then I think you will get the best bang for your buck out of people. I also think a lot about relationship related to one of my first jobs whenever I was in high school. I had one of the coolest jobs, I feel. I worked at Best Buy. And at the time, electronics were like booming. It was on the move. And I was just the cashier at Best Buy, y'all. But it was a really cool job. And I had 2 front-end supervisors. And when I tell y'all there was one supervisor that I absolutely loved, she would come in and she would ask me about school. I was active in a lot of organizations, even in high school. She would ask me how a baseball game went. She would ask me how homecoming planning was going and all of those things and just general schoolwork. And I had so much respect for her. She could ask me to do anything. She could ask me to come in on an off day. She could ask me to do some extra work. And because I liked her, I was willing to go the extra mile and go the distance. But there was another supervisor who I didn't love as much. He would come in and it was strictly all about business, right? He would come in and he would ask, hey, who are we missing? You need to go here, you need to do this. And it was very business focused on getting the job done. I didn't have as much respect for him. And of course, he could ask me to do something and I would do it. But I didn't feel the need and the pressure to go above and beyond the call of duty for him because the relationship was not there. And I shared that story with you because you get a lot more out of people if you go the distance with them and you find out who they are. Find ways to build those connections, find ways to connect with people, and ultimately find ways to let people know that you care. I laugh and joke often about sometimes people send you birthday invitations and wedding showers and baby showers and all of these things. They send you invitations to come. And what I know sometimes is that people get the invitation, but they don't think enough about it to sometimes even go. And what I would tell you is that you as a leader need to think about where and how you can show up for people, right? Maybe it's an intramural game that they are having that you can go to just to support. Maybe it's acknowledging a test that they've been preparing and working really hard for. Maybe it's the small things that you can do just to let people know that you heard them, that you see them, and that you care about them. I think that really goes a long way. So we've talked about identity, we've talked about values, we've talked about relationships and integrity. And before we go into this last dimension, I saw this quote that stuck out to me and I want to share it with you. And it says, life is not about who we impress, but it's about who we impact. And when we think about relationships, y'all, think about having an impact. Robert gave you the acronym earlier about, the frame for this conference and making sure the impact is reflected in your work, right? But don't think about this, putting this on your resume and being the president or the vice president, but think about the impact that you can have on people. I think back to so many experiences that I've had, and I oftentimes don't think about what we did, but I think about who I did it with, right? The people that are on your executive boards, the people that are leading with you that hold positions, right? You are going to remember those experiences that you had, and you're going to remember the relationships that you were able to build with, right? But also thinking about impact, I want you to think about your campus community. Where does the creativity and innovation lie within your organization that you can utilize to help get your campus community dancing, right? What are the things that you can do to really make sure that your campus knows that PSC is here and that this is what we are doing and this is who we are? So make sure that impact is reflected in everything you do. And going into the last dimension, it's simply inspiration, and I put the word inspire here. What I know is that people want to work for those, people want to work with those who ignite their fires and not those who put them out. People want to work with those who ignite their fires. And I would just ask you the question, when is the last time that your fire was lit, right? When is the last time you lit somebody else's fire? And that is ultimately what leadership is about. It's about getting people excited about the work. It's about getting people excited about your specific cause and inviting them to be a part of your journey. Sometimes igniting those fires are they've got an idea and they want to share it with you, and you say, hey, that's a really good idea. Let's figure out how we can infuse that into our plans for 2024, right? Sometimes you ignite their fires by strengthening and building those relationships that we just talked about. And sometimes you ignite their fires just by being a good, decent human, being in your leadership roles. What legacy will you leave behind? When you finish your term as a president, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, whatever that specific role is for you, what do you want people to say about your time on the executive team, on the executive board, or within your organization? Will they say that you created some new events, activities, processes to strengthen your chapter? Will they say you did something great for the campus community? Or did you help move the organization's mission and vision along? Or did you just do the status quo? Did you do what was expected? Did you do exactly what's asked on the checklist and didn't go above and beyond? But you hit your note. Or was your legacy one that won't be remembered? When you think about your term, that's what I want you to think about, the legacy that you will leave behind. And as I close for this particular part, I specifically want to talk just for a moment about one of the greatest legacies to ever live, I believe, which was Kobe Bryant. And I'll tell you, for me and my household, I didn't have a choice but to be a Lakers fan. And I remember when Kobe Bryant first hit the scene coming from high school and going into the league, there was a lot of hype about Kobe. And I remember I always thought that he was a great basketball player, but I didn't understand his true impact until after he passed away several years ago in the plane crash. And I remember laying on the couch, I was looking at the screen and all the news stations were kind of flashing what was happening. And they said that Kobe passed. And immediately I went to social media. And y'all, of course, you saw Kobe's stats, you saw all the championships that he won, you saw all of the great things that he did on the court, all of his records. But one of the most impactful things to me about Kobe Bryant's legacy, it was the things that he did off the court. It was his philanthropy work that he was able to infuse into the communities that he was a part of. I saw text messages from individuals that he sent that was saying, hey, I know you didn't get the win tonight, but you got another game coming up. So, give that one your best shot and you'll be good to go. Or it was Kobe saying, hey, I saw you did this in the game, but here's an opportunity that you can improve. I also saw lots of things about Kobe Bryant just showing up in the community, helping people get their game, strengthen their game, and ultimately just become a better player on and off the court, right? And that was the legacy that I think about so often when I do this leadership talk, because it's not just about what you do in the organization, but it's about what you do on your campus community. It's about the relationships that you are able to build with people, and it's about the impact that you are ultimately going to have. And so as we close, I want to leave you with some of Kobe Bryant's final words for the Hall of Fame presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry I can't be with you tonight. However, I couldn't completely miss the chance to take a moment to share some thoughts with all of you. The lesson I cherish the most is how important it is to love what you do. If you love what you do and it's making you happy, all the hard work and perseverance will pay off. I once had a guidance counselor tell me that I shouldn't play basketball, that it would never amount to anything for me. His negativity towards me made me stronger. You can't stop people from trying to limit your dreams, but you can stop it from becoming a reality. Your dreams are up to you. I encourage you to always be curious, always seek out things you love, and always work hard once you find it. So with that, I'll let you carry on with your evening. Please know I'm thinking of you, supporting you, and encouraging you always. Peace.
Loving what you do is one of the best things that I believe you can do within your organization as a strong leader. When I say love what you do, right, think about your mission, think about your vision, think about your ranch, right? And make sure that you infuse those things into every aspect of your leadership this year. Make sure that you believe in the charge that you have, that you're going to get in the next few breakout sessions, right? All of those are things that you can do to strengthen your leadership. But I also heard Kobe say that your dreams are your responsibility. And what he means by that, from my perspective, is that the great things that you want to do this year, the vision that you have for your chapters, for your organization, is going to be based on the work that you put in and based on the work that you do. And so I'm excited for y'all to step into your leadership roles, because so often we talk about and we think about this concept of who got next, right? And who is going to be the next organizational leader, who's going to be the next national president, and work at the organization to help advance the organization's mission and to keep PSE moving, to keep PSE thriving, and ultimately to keep PSE strong and relevant on every campus that you are on. And so thank you for your time for this keynote. And there are just a couple of things that I want you to think about. I'm going to come back to you after breakout, and we are going to do kind of like some personal reflection as we close out and think about the day. And so what I want you to do from here is I want you to think about this particular prompt that I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think about it before you go into your breakouts. But I want you to carry this into your next breakout session as well, right? And the prompt is, this is a self-reflection that I want you to think about. And it is, I learned, I can, I will, I need more, I know, and I liked. And I want you to think about this day, from the session that I'm doing that I'm wrapping up right now, to the breakouts that you will go into. Whenever I come back to you after your breakout session, I'm also going to give you a couple of leadership hacks. And so that can be a part of your reflection as well. But when you think about I learned, what is something that you gained from this winter officers retreat that is going to help you out in your leadership journey? When you think about I can, that can be one of the skills or characteristics that we've talked about that you want, that you know that you're good at. It can be kind of your rant, something along those lines. I want you to think about true action here, right? What is something that you are going to leave from this day, this retreat, this workshop, that you are going to go apply to your leadership, to your organization, and to your experience? When you think about I know more, I want you to think about some things that we talked about today. Maybe it's something that was shared in a breakout. Maybe it's a leadership piece that you just need more insight on to, you're not great in this area and you want to improve on. That is what this I need more prompt is. The I know prompt can really be something, again, that you gain specifically from a session, from a breakout, and then I liked is just something that you appreciated and valued from the day. And so we're going to come back to this prompt in the closing session, but I wanted you to have this so you can think about it as you go throughout your next breakout sessions. And then we come and close out with the life hacks that I will do. So we've got about 5 more minutes. So did anyone have any questions? Now is a great time if you want to unmute yourself, or if you want to post it in the chat. If I've got a couple of leaders, feel free to help me from PSE, from the executive team as well. So any questions, comments, thoughts? I'm looking at the chat as well. Still taking it all in. Give another couple of seconds.
While they are thinking, everybody, can we just give Kaylin Blake just a virtual round of applause? I don't know about you all, but there were a lot of great things that he said in his presentation. We have a question.
Let's see here.
There's a
We have
question
two.
from Blake. Yeah.
Oh.
Blake says, what experience made you grow most as a leader?
Yeah. Great question, Blake, and thank you for that. When I think about my specific, I had a lot of leadership experiences. I'm going to say the one that helped me to grow the most. I served as a president of my chapter as an undergraduate. I mentioned that I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And I attribute the leader that I am to being a part of that organization, but also being a president. Currently, I serve as the vice president of programs at New Memphis. And so not only do I have to lead people but I facilitate staff meetings. I'm over professional development. I'm over so many like pieces of our work. And the reality is that people don't understand that when you are president or vice president, even in an undergraduate organization, you are building and developing skills that are going to help you on down the road, right? As a chapter president undergrad of Alpha Phi Alpha, I was creating agendas, I was facilitating meetings, I was working with our chapter administrators and, registering our organizations. All of these are skills that I developed more on as an undergrad, but I still use them today. And so my real big challenge for y'all is to think about the things that you are going to do. What is your responsibility, right? When you think about your job description, your particular role, those things, take them seriously, because those are going to be the skills that you are going to take with you into your first jobs whenever you leave from here, and that you're going to kind of use and infuse in some of your other organizations. The other question that I see is, what's some advice for chapters that are still growing? And when I think about this specific question, y'all, it's about recruitment ultimately. And one of the things that I want to say is that you attract who you are and you attract what you are. And it's so important that as you continue to grow your organization, that you recruit people that are headed in the same direction that you are and that believe in the same things that you are. So recruiting is huge, and make sure that you are looking for talent to be a part of your group and organization. But then also, when I think about growing chapters, I want to talk just for a moment about strategy and just coming up with a good plan. I think now is a really great time. Kudos to the PSC leadership for pulling this together, because so often we just throw people in roles and positions and we're like, hey, go forth and conquer. This is an opportunity for you to develop, but I also think this is a great opportunity for you to create a roadmap for the year. What are the things that you are going to do? I know the headquarters staff are going to give you some resources within your breakouts to kind of bring that home. But I really want you to take that serious as you think about building that roadmap for the year. There are some prompts that you're naturally going to get from them. But ultimately knowing what your calendar and events look like for the year, knowing what your meeting cadence is going to be and what your communication strategy is, I think those are going to be the really critical pieces to really helping your organization continue to grow and build as you go. And Megan, I saw a question from you as well, which is, lost it. As a leader, how do you stay motivated after the initial excitement fades? So Megan, if you will just give me a moment, I'm gonna come back and do a wrap up at the end. And in my life hacks, I have one that is specific to that motivation piece. So I'm gonna come back to that question if you'll just stick with me at the end. And then the last one that I see from
It's Joshua.
Joshua, as someone entering their first term on exec board, what advice would you give to those emerging leaders trying to manage multiple positions, commitments concurrently? Josh, I think I'm so glad you asked this question. Most of the people that are holding executive positions are not only holding executive positions at PSC, but you also have jobs, you have work, you have all the other things that are competing for your time, for your interest. And so, Josh, one of the best things that I can say to you is to make sure that you own your 1080. And your 1080 reflects how many minutes you have in the week. And it's so important that you make sure that you dedicate every single second that you got, that it's allocated somewhere. Like I've heard people say before, whenever you do a budget, the best way that you budget is to budget every single dollar that you have, and you send it somewhere, even if that's your like fun money, right? It should be a part of your budget. The same thing is true with your time. You got to make sure that you know that this is PSC time, this is homework time, this is other organizations' time, and make sure that you allocate the appropriate amount to what you need. Also, just thinking about managing those multiple positions, it's so important that you make sure that you're passionate about what you're doing. Make sure that the things that you are interested in are things that are really piquing your interest, because that's one of the biggest pieces to kind of keep you connected to the work and to the why as well. And we're going to talk about that in the wrap up as well. So, yeah, great
We have
question.
two more.
Oh, yeah.
Going deeper into leadership, what would you like to see more of from our chapters and the younger generation of students in Pi Sigma Epsilon?
Let me read that one more time. Yeah, so thinking about what we can see more of, and I'm going to take this from a holistic generational perspective. Y'all, I think we really have to think about, I want to go back to this word and the theme for the conference, which is impact. And Robert, if you don't mind, can you give me the acronym for that again and make sure that I've got it right?
Yes, sir. The I is for integrity. The M is for mission. The P is for perseverance. The A is for attitude. The C is for character. And the T is for teamwork.
Absolutely. So all of those words that Robert just mentioned are key characteristics of a leader. And I think the best advice that I want to give, thinking about what we're looking for in this next generation of leadership is number one, your commitment. Understanding that we've got a lot of moving parts. There are lots of things that need to happen to keep our chapters and our organizations going. And the commitment that you show as individual students, as individual leaders to advance the mission, to advance the values, I think are really going to drive that force home. And then I'm going to take a personal privilege again and just talk about the importance of creativity and innovation. So often we get caught in doing the exact same thing, the exact same way every single year. And what innovation and creativity are you going to bring to help advance the mission of PSE? We talk so much about tradition and who we are, and there are some traditional signature pieces for our organizations. But if we want to make it for another 50, 60, 75, 80, 100 years, we've got to make sure that we are meeting the current needs of students, of our campus community, and of our organizations. And I think that that is one of the most important things about leadership is where does that creativity and innovation come from within your meetings? Folks that work with me every single day will tell you that whenever I start a meeting, we start with the icebreaker with some fun just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. And that is just the creativity and the spin that I put on how I lead. And so I really encourage you to just think about and focus on that creativity and that innovation.
Great. And we have one more question from Jack. Sorry, go ahead, Rob, if there's something you wanted to add.
Oh no, I was about to say, we could stay right here in this moment for a long time. Kalen is full of wisdom and knowledge, and he himself is very impactful. But I want us to be cognizant of our time so we can maximize it. So I will say, Jack, we will come back to your question. Okay, we're not going to forget about it, but we will come back to it because moving forward, the next thing that we're going to do, and again, guys, can we just give Kalen another virtual round of applause? Kalen, we thank you for spending this morning with us, especially this critical time as we somebody said we have a question. Somebody is okay. All right. So Kalen, I just thank you for this time this morning. Thank you for pouring into all of us, not just our members. We have HQ staff on the call. We have National Council members on the call. We have our national president, Kelsey Keeney, on the call, who is singing your praises, by the way. So we just thank you for the time that you spent with us today. And I hope students, everybody on the call, I hope that you are taking notes. I hope that you are gleaning from this wisdom that Kalen is giving us. At this time,